Welcome back to the Yoga Life channel. Today we are going to have a look at what we can do when we are feeling overwhelmed and how we can tackle the beast and jump back into action when we're standing in front of that mountain of a huge task and don't really know where to start and what to do. I have a couple of specific tasks for you, or a couple of specific action steps that you can take. But first of all, let's look at what feeling overwhelmed really looks like. It's generally when we are having a large task, a huge thing that we need to cope with, and we don't really know how to go about it. I remember very well when I had to write my master thesis for university that I had no clue how to go about it. And during the time of having to do the writing, I think I killed probably 2 or 3 of my pot plants in the house because it was so much easier to get up again, do the cleaning, do the washing up, look after the household, and then water my pot plants probably about 3 or 4 times a day than actually sitting down and doing the writing that was necessary. What happens is when we don't know exactly what to do and we don't know where to start, we can get into such a sense of feeling overwhelmed and stressed that we start to procrastinate and then don't take any actions at all. For me, it was my exams and my master thesis. For other people, it's business planning. I know that some of my mentoring clients who are starting a new coaching business also have to get into things like social media, marketing, advertising, finding their ideal client, all those kind of things. And if you've never done this before, it can feel like this large task. And the problem is when we are feeling overwhelmed, we are focusing on everything at once. And it feels like a mountain we are standing in front that is too large to handle. And when we don't have the steps and the clarity on what exactly we do need to get started, it's easier to just let time pass and sit there. The problem is, the longer we let time pass, the less action we take, the worse we feel ourselves. And then it's a negative cycle that reinforces itself, that we're feeling stressed, therefore we're feeling even less adequate, we're beating ourselves up, we're having this whole negative self-talk that's going on, and we don't really get anywhere. So what specifically can we do, and how can we get over ourselves and jump into action? The first thing we want to do is get our chunk level right. Have you ever been in that situation where you are not able to see the wood for the trees? That's when you have too low a chunk level. You are focused on every last detail, basically, if it was a wood, every single tree, but you can't see the big picture, and therefore you don't know where to start, and you are being intimidated by all the tasks. Similarly, when you are planning and planning and planning, but never really taking any action, this is often when you have too high a chunk level and you are able to see the whole thing, but you don't get down enough into the details. To really tackle a large task, you need to be able to do both. Start with the end in mind, have clarity on what the whole is that you want to accomplish, and then be able to break it down into manageable tasks. That's step number 2. Allocating specific steps, being able to kind of take the theme, break this theme down into specific raw structured elements, and then within each element have the topics and then the subtopics. I have a friend who is absolutely brilliant at that when he writes books. He will set the theme and then bring up the chapters, bring up the sub-chapters, and then it's basically just filling in each specific element rather than getting overwhelmed by looking at the task all at once. The next thing that guy will do is allocate specific amounts of time. And this is something I found really valuable in my own business as well. By being able to break down all the different elements, all the different sub-chapters into smaller time frames, I can then manage myself, and some days when I have a half hour in between sessions or 1 hour in between other work, work on some element without having to do the whole thing at once. So for example, if I have to make a 45-minute phone call, that can fit in. A 30-minute element of research can fit in. A 1 hour of uninterrupted writing can fit in. So take whatever it is that is the whole task, break it down into the different subchapters, and then allocate specific time frames. I actually have a workboard at home that is planning out my next 3 months of working on my business rather than in my business. And it is full of half-hour to 45-minute tasks that I can tackle at any point in time whenever I feel I'm ready to do something. And you probably all have had that feeling. Sometimes you are more in a creative space, sometimes you're more in a planning space, sometimes you just need to do some tasks that don't require a lot of brain space. If you have all those tasks planned out in advance, you can take one off the board that is suiting you and where you're at this specific point in time and get it done, rather than sitting there not knowing what's the next step you can take and mulling over the whole thing all the time. And then lastly, take action. The most important element of all is that rather than sitting there, focusing, waiting, and hoping the shitty feeling is going to go away, you just take action. If necessary, make mistakes. It does not matter. The most successful leaders, both in business and politics and everywhere, are the ones who are willing to take a lot of actions. Along with those actions, probably make quite a few mistakes, but knowing that they can course correct, that they can make it better the next time as they are going. The people who are least successful are the ones who are standing in front of their tasks, never taking any action because they are intimidated and they don't want to make any mistakes. The perfectionism really can get in our way. So take any action, get it wrong, learn from your mistakes, and then be able to get it right. These are my little pieces of advice when it comes to tackling that feeling of being overwhelmed. Let us know in the comments if you have found any other techniques that work for you. If you've learned anything from today, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. If you like what we are doing here at the channel, please feel free to subscribe, hit the bell button if you want to get notifications, and I hope we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.